Hi, I'm Paul McGee. I'm author of S.U.M.O Your Relationships, How to Handle, Not Strangle the People You Live and Work With. Have you ever come across a character that I talk about called the Commander? My wife has. She married one. Because I've got to confess to you, this character that I look at in the book, the Commander, is someone that I probably relate to the most. A couple of stories really to illustrate the kind of Commander. I was doing a seminar on how to motivate and manage people effectively. And we looked at all kinds of different skills and strategies and how to do it. And on the second day, I said to this guy, Ian, you've mentioned one of your staff called Dan. And I just wonder now, how do you think you're going to be able to deal with Dan? What's going to be your phrase? You know, when you sit down and chat to him, what's your opening going to be? What's your strategy going to be? And Ian thought about it for a moment and went, I'm probably going to say, Dan, you have the potential not to be crap. And I went, Ian, do you want to think about your use of language there? And he went, what? Potential? You see, with commanders, they are very, very goal-orientated. They are very, very task-orientated. But they can be a little bit insensitive to people's feelings. And sometimes I get so focused on what I've got to do that I sometimes forget that there's people along the journey I've got to deal with. And sometimes I become so task-focused and forget about the people side of stuff. And an example of me being very much a commander was from a while back when, personal example, as lots of the examples are in my book, both business and personal, was when we were due to visit some friends one Saturday. And they said, come for about 3 o'clock. Well, it's about 3:15 and we haven't left the house. And I'm getting more and more into commander mode. You know, less on how people are feeling and more about let's take charge, we're 50 minutes late, let's leave. And I've got 2 kids. And I've got my daughter going, Dad, can I wear my Snow White dress? And I'm going, no, Ruthie, you can't wear your Snow White dress. Come on, we're late, we need to go. And she's going, but I want to wear my Snow White dress. I said, Ruth, you're 23, come on. You know, and then it's just gone 3:15. We're finally ready to leave. And my wife says, I'm just going to ring Dave and Jen. And I'm like, pourquoi? Because, you know, I'm bilingual. And she said, well, Jen just left a message to check we're okay for Sunday tea tomorrow. I said, look, Helen, we're already late. They know we're coming. We'll confirm it later on. And she's going, yeah, but I'll do it now while I remember. Well, can I just tell you, Commander, if I'd have made the call and rung Dave and Jen, here's how I would have made the call. Hi, Dave, just checking we're okay for Sunday tea tomorrow. Yeah, in a bit of a rush, but I'll catch you soon. Cheers, bye. 7 seconds, I'm out of here. Got to be honest with you, my wife, who's a bit of a ditherer, I mean, she even walks more slowly to the phone. And then she's going, hi, Dave, how are you? Good. Jenny all right? Good. How's Katie? I'm just relieved they've only got 1 kid. But then her next question almost made me want to headbutt the wall. So what have you been doing today then? I'm like, come on! Very, very much commander mode. Do you know people are like that? They need to take a chill pill sometimes occasionally. Or the kind of person who is obsessed with to-do lists and just loves the feeling. It's almost like a sexual thrill of being able to tick things off the list. I mean, I've got to be honest with you. I'm that sad as a commander. This feelings that I get when I tick stuff off my to-do list, that I have even done things during the day that weren't even on my to-do list. But then I've just written them on so I can tick things off. How do you handle, not strangle, a commander? I think first thing is just, again, be aware if you are sometimes being a bit of a commander. Are you a bit like Ian? Sometimes a little bit too direct in your language and your approach and sometimes being insensitive to people's feelings? Are you a bit like me sometimes where you're being a bit of a control freak when maybe it would be best to take a chill pill? So think about that. But what if you deal with someone who's a commander? Well, if you want more advice on this, I would definitely email my wife, Helen, at paulmcgee.com, because she's been married to me for 20 years and she's got loads of strategies. But here's a couple that I think are particularly useful. The first one is, if you've got to deal with a commander, stand up to them. If you're not careful, I think sometimes, and they don't necessarily mean this, but commanders can end up being almost like bullies. You know, so task-driven, so goal-focused, they can almost be a bit of a bully. And my wife will sometimes say to me, excuse me, Mr. Commander. And I suddenly become more aware, hang on, I'm being a bit of a commander, and she stands up to me. I think the other thing to think about when you're dealing with a commander is this. Commanders are not blessed with a great deal of patience, and they detest waffle. So if you're in a work situation, you're trying to influence a commander, one of the tips I would suggest is this. Always, always communicate, probably in bullet points. Really focus on what you're going to say. Don't waffle around the subject. Be clear and be direct. So you've got to deal with them and convince them of something. Say, look, there's 3 points I reckon we need to be aware of. Point 1, point 2, point 3. Commanders love summaries. They love logic and they love it when you're very direct and you don't waffle around the subject. Commanders have their place, very much so. In a crisis, they're the people that take charge. But sometimes commanders need to be aware of the impact of the consequences their behaviours leave, the trail of destruction that's sometimes left behind because they're focused on the task and they forget about the people. They can be a great character to have around, but they can also be quite difficult. So the book, again, looks at some reasons why the commander is like the way they are and gives you some further tips on how to deal with them. So another S.U.M.O character, the commander.